Power of Positive Thinking by Norman Vincent Peale. Norman Vincent Peale, May 31st, 1898, December 24th, 1993, was an American Protestant clergyman, and an author best known for popularizing the concept of positive thinking, especially through his best-selling book, The Power of Positive Thinking, 1952. He served as the pastor of Marble Collegiate Church, New York, from 1932, leading this Reformed Church in America congregation for more than a half-century until his retirement in 1984. Alongside his pulpit ministry, he had an extensive career of writing and editing, and radio and television presentations. Despite arguing at times against involvement of clergy in politics, he nevertheless had some controversial affiliations with politically active organizations in the late 1930s, and engaged with national political candidates and their campaigns, having influence on some, including a personal friendship with President Richard Nixon. Peale graduated from Bellefontaine High School, Bellefontaine, Ohio in 1916. He attended and earned a bachelor's degree at Ohio Wesleyan University, where he became a brother at the Phi Gamma Delta fraternity. After graduating from Ohio Wesleyan, he worked as a newspaper reporter in Findlay, Ohio, and then in Detroit, Michigan. In 1921, he entered Boston University School of Theology to study for the Methodist ministry, and was ordained in 1922. He served for 2 years as pastor of a small church in Berkeley, Rhode Island. He graduated from Boston University in 1924, with a Master of Arts and a Bachelor of Sacred Theology. On June 20, 1930, Peale married Iowan teacher Loretta Ruth Stafford. The wedding was officiated by his father, and held in Syracuse. Notable attendees included Bishop Adna Wright Leonard, Chancellor Charles Wesley Flint. Peale was a 33-degree Freemason of the Scottish Rite. John woke up with the same heavy thoughts. I'll never succeed. I'm not good enough. My luck always runs out. These thoughts followed him like a shadow, draining his energy and joy. John ran a little printing shop. It had once been successful, but lately, customers stopped coming. Bills piled up, and so did John's fears. He began to lose confidence in himself, and even started thinking about shutting the shop down. His wife, Mary, tried to comfort him, but his mind was full of doubt. One evening, while walking home after another disappointing day, John saw a church billboard that read, "Believe in yourself and in God's power within you." Norman Vincent Peale. The message caught his attention. He had heard about Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, a preacher and writer known for his ideas on the power of positive thinking. John had even seen his book in a store once, but never thought much of it. That night, something inside him whispered, "Maybe this is what you need." The next morning, John went to the town library and borrowed The Power of Positive Thinking. As he opened the first page, he read, "Change your thoughts, and you change your world." The words struck him deeply. Could it really be that simple? He kept reading. Dr. Peale's stories were full of ordinary people who had faced failure, fear, and doubt, but changed their lives by changing their attitudes. One story that touched John was about a businessman who always said, "I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me." The man repeated this every morning and before every meeting. Over time, his attitude changed, and so did his success. John decided to try it. The next day, instead of saying, "I can't do this," he whispered, "I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me." It felt awkward at first, but somehow comforting. The change begins. John began practicing small acts of positive thinking. When a problem came up, he told himself, "There's a solution. I'll find it." When he lost a customer, he said, "It's okay. Another will come." He started every morning with gratitude, listing 3 things he was thankful for: his family, his home, and the chance to try again. Slowly, he felt lighter inside. A week later, an old client walked in and said, "John, I've missed your cheerful smile. I've got a new printing order for you." That small success boosted John's confidence. At night, John read a few pages of Dr. Peale's book before bed. One line he marked with a pencil said, "Stand up to your obstacles and do something about them. You will find that they haven't half the strength you think they have." John realized his real obstacle wasn't failure. It was fear. One Sunday, John decided to attend Dr. Peale's church in Manhattan. The message that day was about faith over fear. Dr. Peale said, "Most of your worries never happen. When you replace fear with faith, miracles start to unfold." After the service, John stayed behind and spoke to the preacher himself. He told Dr. Peale about his business troubles and self-doubt. The kind preacher smiled and said, "My friend, your shop may be small, but your thoughts make it even smaller. Enlarge your faith, and your success will follow." John never forgot those words. He returned home with a new plan. He painted his shop walls bright white, cleaned the windows, and placed a small sign that said, "Think positively. Great things are coming." Each morning he took a moment to pray, visualize success, and imagine his shop filled with happy customers. Miracles through mindset. Weeks passed. One day, a big company from the nearby city placed a large printing order. They said they had seen John's shop mentioned in a community magazine. It was the biggest deal he had ever received. John's business began to thrive again. But more importantly, he had changed inside. He was no longer a man who said, "I can't." He was a man who said, "I will." One evening, his wife asked, "John, what happened to you? You seem so different." He smiled and replied, "I stopped listening to my fears and started believing in my faith, helping others think positively." Soon, people in town noticed John's cheerful spirit. A young man who wanted to start his own business came to him for advice. John told him, "Believe you can, and you're halfway there. Keep your mind on what you want, not on what you fear." He lent the young man his copy of The Power of Positive Thinking, saying, "This book changed my life, maybe it can change yours too." As the months went by, John began holding small evening talks at his shop, sharing lessons he learned from Dr. Peale's teachings. He told stories of people who turned failure into success by having faith and thinking positively. His message was simple but powerful. 1. Believe in yourself. 2. Fill your mind with faith, hope, and confidence. 3. Speak positive words every day. 4. Pray for strength instead of worrying about weakness. People began calling him the positive printer. His life had become a living example of Dr. Peale's words. The true power. Years later, when John looked back, he realized that success wasn't about luck or money. It was about attitude. The greatest power he had discovered was not outside of him, but within him. He wrote in his journal one night, "When I changed my thoughts, my life changed. When I filled my heart with faith instead of fear, I found peace." That is the real power of positive thinking. Moral of the story. The story of John shows that our lives follow the direction of our thoughts. When we think negatively, we attract failure and fear. But when we fill our minds with faith, gratitude, and positive expectations, life begins to open up with new opportunities. Thank you for watching my video.